Good morning, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for a super spicy legacy stream. Today we are playing with Radio Mars's Dwarf and Taxes decklist. Okay, so obviously the name is a play on Death and Taxes, and the deck is kind of built in the same way, with disruptive mana elements like Rishadan Port and Wasteland, and we're built around Aethervial as well. Well, what other taxing elements do we have, you might ask? I don't know. How about repeatable Stone Rain every turn? And there's two different creatures that do that? Oh, that's pretty cool. Admittedly, these only destroy non-basic lands, so if we compare it against something like Miracles that has like 8 basics or something like that, their lands will be safe. But otherwise, if we're playing against something like Delver, we can just obliterate their mana base over time. And that's the taxation element that this deck has. So why dwarves? Your payoff card is Magda Brazen Outlaw, which I'm sure is one that I have to read for our audience. So it's a dwarf lord, so other dwarfs you control get +1/+0. Whenever a dwarf you control becomes tapped, you make a treasure token. Now here's the payoff. If you can sacrifice 5 treasure tokens, you can search your library for an artifact or dragon card, put it onto the battlefield, and then shuffle your library. So the idea is we have these creatures like Dwarven Blast Miner and Dwarven Miner that can tap themselves to do various things, and then we create treasures to turbo out a Blightsteel Colossus. Or, if a fair kill is fine, we can grab a Chroma's Memorial to make all of our dwarves have Flying, First Strike, Vigilance, Trample, Haste, Protection from Black, and from Red. Oh yeah, Nathan. Maximum fun stream for sure. Now, what else is in the deck? Well, we have Axguard Cavalry, which I think takes the cake for one of my favorite MTG arts now. Just like a dwarf on like a ram with like a fiery explosion in the background. This art is sick. You can tap it to give a creature haste until the end of turn. I don't know, that might be relevant at some point in this league. But otherwise, it's just a dwarf that can tap itself, which is pretty cool. We also have Vault Robber, which is a 1/3, and you can exile a creature card from your graveyard to create a treasure token. Rounding out the shell, we have a few non-dwarves. We have Mother of Runes to keep all of our stuff safe, and we have Recruiter of the Guard to find the other pieces that we need. There is one Dwarven Blood Boiler in here, which just lets us tap an untapped dwarf. That means that we can just tap all of our dwarves with this. So it's red, 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 so it's a little bit hard to cast, but that's our late game way of just like saying, all right, here's 5 treasures in one turn. Let's go. The sideboard is basically the same as a D&T sideboard for the most part. It's built the same way. There's 2 things of note here. Number 1, there's Bloodfire Dwarf, which you can sacrifice it to deal 1 damage to each creature without flying. And number 2, I forget what I cut from the sideboard, but I decided I wanted a big dumb artifact in the sideboard that could be good against combo. So I took an idea from Vintage, and I decided to play a God Pharaoh statue. Spells your opponents cast cost 2 more to cast, and at the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses 1 life. Yeah, Nathan, individually, these cards might be unplayable. But together, maybe we can get some wins in. I'm really excited about this one. Folks who end up watching this on YouTube, I would really appreciate likes on this video. I would like to send this video to the stratosphere because I think this one is going to be really fun. Nathan, we don't have to cast the Blightsteel Colossus. We're looking to cheat it in with Magda by sacrificing 5 treasure tokens. Alright, also of note for the YouTube folks, I am no longer sponsored by Cardboard Live. We separated ways at the beginning of this month, so donation deck lists and such are more important than ever towards funding my content. And if you have any interest in sponsoring the channel, business email is always available on the website. Alright, let's battle. Okay, we've opened up on a double colorless hand, so I need to mulligan this one. This hand is fine. I'll keep this. I think I'm gonna toss back the Swords to Plowshares and just keep Mom plus double dwarf here. Alright, so let's talk about Skullclamp's comment. That's the thing about Death and Taxes. A lot of times you lose on turn 7 for playing the wrong 2-drop on turn 2, and that's not clear to you at the time. But then later you realize, like, oh, there was this very specific reason why I needed to play Stoneforge instead of Thalia on that turn, because it allowed me to play around blah 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 that my opponent was going to have. So, like, it's something that is really important, but it's really hard to see. It's like Neo in the Matrix. Oh man, my opponent plays the turn 1 Delver after I throw back the Swords to Plowshares. That's classic. Alright, is Cavern going on human or dwarf? So, like, obviously we're a dwarf tribal deck, but we have double Mom. Hmm. I think it's gonna go on human. Which is weird. But getting an active Mom is probably gonna be pretty important here. Yeah, if you're starting to see your mistakes as, like, a Death and Taxes player, that's good. Because at first, it often feels like you lost and there was nothing you can do. And in reality, it's very much not true. Almost finished your zombie league. What's your opinion on the Force of Despair? Eh, I can see it sometimes, but it feels a little clunky to me. Oh god, that's so much pressure. Well, this is good, though. Don't stifle me, bro. Oh, this pause is killing me. Alright. So the next question here is like, oh, ho, 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 ho. Opponent had the stifle, but saved it to pitch to Force of Negation. Oh, ho. A battle here. My opponent didn't remove Mom on my turn. So Nathan, if I play around Force of Negation, Daze, or Spell Pierce totally wrecks me. So if I play into Force of Negation on my turn, I at least get a 2-for-1 for the counterspell. Because I still need to play out this Mom, right? Like, I still need to get a second card into play in this turn cycle. So I think it's good to do that. I don't know. I think regardless, this early flipped Delver is going to be a huge problem for this deck. Oh, I totally missed that this card was in the deck. Okay. So what dwarves do I want on top right now? Flash, how do I get myself out of this situation? I don't have red for the dwarvish who's he what's it. Hmm. I need to theoretically win on my next attack step. I don't think I can do that. I think I need to throw in the towel here to a double Delver start, unfortunately. Alright. I can pick up 2 more removal spells here. Probably not that. Okay. Is an Achroma's Memorial ever going to be good? Protection from red is sick. Is that better than God Pharaoh statue, though? Might not be better than God Pharaoh statue. Like, shutting off removal is cool. I don't know, maybe this is like one of the few ways I can brickwall a Delver in the late game. Let's try this. I would like to play first. Nope. Eee. This is really lacking in gas. Do I keep this? Yikes. Alright, I have to put 2 of these back. I need to keep my lands no matter what. I need to keep the Magda no matter what. I need to keep the Swords of Plowshares no matter what. So like this, this, just stay. That means I get rid of 2 of these. Let's get rid of Axe Guard Cavalry and maybe Vault Robber. Alright, so now one of our 2-drops can't get dazed. That's the good news. Yeah, these dwarf cards are old. Some people play Modern. Alright, Dwarven Blast Miner, 8 a bolt to the face. It's okay, we've got another. We got Uncounterable would be cool. Caracas to protect Magda is not bad. I still think I'm supposed to play Dwarven Blast Miner first, though, because repeatedly destroying my opponent's lands is cool and fun. I still don't believe that zombies list 4-1. Like, that list went surprisingly well and was a lot of fun. I thought it was going to be more clunky than it was. But it worked. Yeah, but I don't think I can afford that 1 mana to unmorph it. I don't have the next land. Like, I don't have my 4th land in hand. Oof. The brutal efficiency of Delver here is doing some serious work. All right. We can maybe start working towards the Blightsteel dream. Opponent here pausing, trying to figure out like what on earth is Phil going to cheat out if I let this resolve. Yep, we got the lol from the opponent in chat. I mean, I had to read this card as well as most of the cards in this deck list when it was submitted, so that's fine. I've always hated the "we've got a reader" joke. It's like, are you criticizing me for like reading? What? Like, reading is not a bad thing. And I've never understood why people are like, I'm gonna make fun of you because you have to read a card. Like, no, that makes you look dumb for criticizing someone for reading. Especially when you play fringe stuff, you shouldn't be surprised that people have to read it. I double check and reread cards all of the time, even when I'm pretty darn sure I know what they do, because, like, I need to check things like creature types or exact wording for triggers all of the time for timing. I think I'm going to just get 2 turn clocked here and die. I'm technically on a 3 turn clock right now, but like either the Delver flips or they can put enough mana into Hexdrinker to flip it. Like one of those things is very likely to happen. I am going to trade Mom for Delver if my opponent attacks with it. I can stay on a 3 turn clock for the Hexdrinker. There's maybe a world where I can make 5 treasures. Although that still might not beat fully leveled up Hexdrinker. Yeah. Okay, I think this is the point where I can't come back from this and I'm just dead. I'll take another draw to kind of try and confirm. Yeah, that's not going to do it. We're going to throw in the towel here. GG's. All right, I'll be keeping this hand for sure. So the big question here is going to be like, what is this cavern going on? I think since I have 3 dwarves this time, I probably want to put the cavern on dwarf instead of human. And I'm going to go ahead and fetch a non-basic here, I think. I have a bunch of lands, and I do need to be concerned about red in this deck every once in a while. And I would rather get a Plateau Wasteland than a Cavern of Souls to boot. Alright, Flooded Strand Ponder could be a number of things, but I'll lean towards this being a control deck until I'm given reason otherwise. Dwarf! So Magda is whenever a dwarf, so like I can't make treasures by attacking with Mother of Runes or anything. Cafe Grit. There's theoretical worlds where we can just get to 12 mana by attacking with a whole bunch of dwarves. Like, that's not absolutely crazy. Like, I know last game we hardly made any treasures, but our opponent answered almost everything that we did, right? But in a more normal game where we're just, like, attacking with a bunch of dwarves, like, I think it's somewhat reasonable that we just end up making 5 or more treasure tokens easily by the end of the game. I'm not going to show the Wasteland yet. Yes. Yes. I made my thumbnail for the YouTube video version of this using this card. I'll show it off in between games or something. It's pretty sweet. Okay, your council's judgment resolves. I assume it gets Mom off the table. Oh no, it got Magda off the table. That's fine. Ooh, Dwarven Blast Miner. Don't mind if I do. But more than anything else, this Wasteland is really strong. I think I'm gonna play Magda here. I'm going to tap this, give Magda haste. That gives me a treasure token. Now I can attack with this to get a second treasure token. I'm not going to play out the Dwarven Blast Miner. I'm really soft to a Terminus right now, and I already have 2 different creatures that can tap next turn to get me my 5th treasure. So I'm going to go ahead and call this a turn. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Alright, we missed Natural Terminus there, so I think that means that I'm getting a Blightsteel Colossus. At instant speed too, right? At instant speed. Nice. It'll be protected from, like, Swords to Plowshares too. Oh, baby. This is actually hilarious. I can play this after, at some point after I search up the Blightsteel. Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna just put all of my gas cards on top of my library. Here we go. The brainstorm on my opponent's turn is a little weird here. Because that means that there could be a terminus on top of my opponent's library. So I'm not sure how aggressive I'm supposed to be about producing the Blightsteel. I'm going to go ahead and not cast anything this turn. All right. So I think we're going to change the plan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Grab a Necroma's Memorial. That should be pretty annoying. Oh, New Magda. This can be counterspelled. This can't. Fine, Andy. This is great. I am dwarf, hear me roar, or something. I don't get like these creatures don't trade with Snapcaster Mage anymore. Hey, hold up. Where? Oh no! My creatures don't tap anymore, so I don't get treasures. um. Hmm. That's unfortunate. This is a blind terminus. Hello? I would like to put all of my gas on top of my library. Alright. So what do I want? What things have the greatest power? I probably just want to draw those. I guess everything has like 2 power. I mean, I guess what I'm gonna do is just like literally grab all of the dwarves. I'll never draw anything other than a dwarf again. Alright, first card click will be the last one down. Alright. Oh, the Blood Boiler with Vigilance is really good. I should have put that a little bit further up. I don't think it matters. My opponent is at 5, and my next 13 draws are dwarves. I feel pretty good about my position. Yeah, I didn't think about the Blood Boiler with Vigilance. I didn't think how much Vigilance was going to impact this deck. No, my Chroma's Memorial. That's so sad. That's fine. It might actually be good that that's not in play anymore. If I'm being totally honest. Oh, did you have Swords to Plowshares too? That's awfully rude. Rude. My opponent also is like not going to get to fetch anymore. My opponent gets one more fetch for the rest of this game, and every threat is lethal. Oh, they had another Swords to Plowshares? Rough. Forgot the part where they're uncounterable. Actually, maybe I was supposed to play Dwarven Recruiter this turn to use 3 mana, because like next turn there's a 2-drop on top of my deck, and I could have double spelled. Yeah, that was probably right. Because that lets me double spell on the turn where Teferi double bounce is a thing. I also could, like, put a new Magda towards the top of my library. Oh no! That puts a Terminus on top, so my double spelling is bad. What do you mean? Like, my opponent has a Terminus on top. Neither one of these things can, like, give the other haste this turn. Am I just missing something here? Right. Selected. Selected. Alright. Oh, we're so close. It's gonna be a fight for sure. So things get weird if my opponent doesn't cast the Terminus. If my opponent doesn't cast the Terminus and just kind of like hangs on to the Terminus safely for a few turns, it becomes a little bit harder for me to win. The weird thing about reordering my library in this way is that the Akrama's Memorial is like never going to get into play and just give my stuff haste. I'm not going to play the Magda pre-combat. I don't want to get Terminus for more than one creature if possible. A Dwarven Tarfire, that would be really legit right now. Alright, the hardcast Terminus. Now I can present two different threats now that I know that that Terminus is gone. My opponent can still bounce both of these. But they're not going to get to, like, fetch and then, like, Mystic Sanctuary a Terminus on top again, because they're at 1. This is a nail biter. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I don't think I beat that. Oh, no. Like, since we're so close, I'll play this out, but I 100% do not expect to beat double Planeswalker plus that. Like, Mentor was one of the things we were most scared of the entire game. We'll see. There's a world where my opponent just draws a billion lands and then doesn't spiral out of control with Mentor, and I win. Blightsteel Colossus also, like, technically has trample. Oh, fuck. Well, Ghost, welcome. Glad you made it here live. The dwarves fought hard, but I think my little fellowship is being disbanded here. I've got a super spicy video that's going live on YouTube on Monday. I recorded with a Eureka Nick Fit deck that features 3 different flavors of Nicol Bolas. So, yeah. Yeah, Bjorn, that's why I try to do one morning stream a week. It's so people in different time zones or people with different schedule restrictions can catch me live. And my axe. Yeah. Alright, now my Magdas aren't good either. And my opponent can start attacking. Like, I also just know what the top cards of my library are. I think this is the point where I can comfortably concede. And, like, well played, opponent. You stabilized. That one blind terminus was pretty rough for me in terms of tempo. But my opponent made a number of decisions this game that worked out really well for them. Like, not just taking the Teferi minus when Teferi was at 3 loyalty. You have Vendilion Click? We do have Vendilion Click. That's cool. I haven't seen a Vendilion Click in play in Legacy in a hot minute. Is that targeting me? Just targeting me? I'm going to go ahead and feed here. My opponent has so much power. They get to pivot the game here. Pickles. I feel that. I do. We don't have that many good sideboard cards here. Like, I think I want this God Pharaoh statue. I'm unsure if the Chroma's Memorial is actually good. Alice might be fine. The issue is that since I showed my opponent this Akroma's Memorial, they probably bring in disenchant effects against me. And so something like Chalice isn't all that likely to actually be a hard lock. Or maybe even a soft lock for that matter. And Swords to Plowshares is important so that I can answer Mentor. I think ultimately I'm just like not gonna sideboard very much. Like maybe go down one Mom because of Terminus and Supreme Verdict to bring in that one artifact. So every card like Surgical or Path that I board in is another card that doesn't kill my opponent. And I think it's really important to keep that in mind, right? Right now we have a really heavy creature count. We have a creature count of 27, which is really 26 because like we're not going to count Blightsteel Colossus as a normal creature. And so I have 26 bodies that can attack my opponent and get them dead. And every card like Surgical I bring in is one more card that is a top deck that doesn't contribute to killing my opponent. And as we saw in that game, the life total really mattered. A single point of difference, like a single point more of damage. Like if I had randomly attacked in with a Mom at the beginning of the game, like would have been the difference between a win and a loss there. So I don't necessarily think it's good to board in the Surgical just to take out like stuff. I don't think I'm going to go so deep as to just board in something else that attacks for 1. Yeah, I'll keep this hand, absolutely. Okay. I think I'll just lead on the Wasteland and not show the Cavern on turn 1, and then play a Vial. Dwarf. Let's just put the other Vial into play. We can play this one a little slow. We theoretically have the answer to Mentor already in Swords to Plowshares. I don't have the mana to cast it yet, but I at least theoretically have the answer. This one got Force of Negation and not the other, so that either means Force of Negation was the turn 1 draw, or I'm about to be disenchanted. The disenchant's real good. Yeah. Blast Miner or Magda? I think I'll play the Blast Miner. Yeah, we've got Dwarven Recruiter. Last game we put like 20-something dwarves on top of our library. It was pretty legit. If Dwarven Recruiter is fair, how about Goblin Recruiter? Goblin Lackey was messing around with that card in Vintage for a little while. Getting one treasure token is a big deal. I really hope. Yeah. Actually, I guess this can just get me a basic Plains. That's fine. Then I can Absource the Plowshares against an early Mentor that's played out. Alright, I'm on board with this. The easiest way that I lose the game from this position is just my opponent playing Mentor and then spewing cantrips. Like, not close. That's the easiest way that I can lose this game. Oh, that's also really annoying. Target me. I probably Swords the Plowshares this. It makes me softer to Mentor. But I think I'm good with that. Yeah, Arglypuff. Maybe we revisit this this deck idea in a year once we get more dwarves. There's a world where I'm supposed to port here. But my opponent is still at 20 and it's turn 5. I think I have to respect getting some stuff into the red zone. Is Frodo gonna be the broken one? Or will it be one of the other dwarves that they're like, this ability won't do anything, and the legacy community is like, no, wizards, no. Why did you do that? Why did you put recurable strip mine on a dwarf? You knew this would happen, didn't you? Didn't you? Oh yeah, Frodo's a hobbit, not a dwarf. Alright, good call. Good call. Yeah, sorry. Brain can only be focused on so many things at a time here. I will port off the white this turn, I think. That probably just means playing this. I think we have like 22 dwarves. Notably, a back to basics would be rough. Opponent fires off AK. That's fine. All right. A lot of ways to play this turn. I opened myself a little bit to some things here, but there's a lot of treasures. I think this is okay. Like, this gives my opponent one turn to do a Board Wrath or remove Magda. Otherwise, I can get either Blightsteel Colossus or Godpharaoh statue. Oof, the tapped Mystic Sanctuary. Ice. Ice. Oh, we're getting there this time. Alright, attack to fairy. Attack you. Attack you. One, two, three, four, five. God Pharaoh's statue. Let's go. I get to Rishadan Port the white source. I have 1,000,000,000 power in play. My opponent's spells are super expensive. Believe this is what we came here to do. Three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Yeah. God Pharaoh statue put our opponent on a 1-turn clock. Nice, nice. D&T, right? Dwarves and Taxes, Death and Taxes. Same thing, I believe. Kentis, this is our second match. We got Delvered in the first match, which happens to the best of us. I think I'm just casting Moms normally off of Plateau, now that I drew that. There was a real question about that prior to drawing the Plateau, but now I think this is fine. Arid Mesa confirmed strong legacy card. So many people playing it. Alright, we get our 2-for-1 here with the Force of Will. That's fine. Ooh, we got rid of a back to basics. That's really good. Because we weren't beating back to basics here. Like, I would have had 3 different non-basics. Ooh. Ooh. Vault Robber's a dwarf. Of course it would be in here. Look at him. Just looks like the perfect fit for this deck. I mean, this is the perfect fit for this deck. They had a second back to basics. Fuck. Yeah, GG, well played. I mean, I'll try, but once my opponent finds a terminus, and they're on a 5-turn clock, so they've got time. Once they find a sweeper, I'm donezo. Basic planes? Close enough. So, you're telling me there's a chance again. It's cool, I only got 4 for 1. That's fine. No, fine, Andy, I disagree. I do not think I can attack with Mom. I think I need to blank their Swords of Plowshares and Path to Exiles to have any chance at winning. Like, I have to put them on Terminus or Bust, or like, because like they only have 1 white mana right now, so they can't double spell to get rid of my stuff. I like as much as I love the cheeky mom attacks, I don't want to fold to like Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile, or Snapcaster Mage. The only way I stay alive is this mom staying alive. Okay, yep. I don't think we have outs anymore. Like, my opponent doesn't have lands because they've missed on some land drops. So that means they have a handful of, like, something. Yeah. I'm gonna give this, like, 1 more turn cycle, just to make sure I don't draw, like, a basic land or something. But I think I'm dead. Yeah. Yeah, let's throw in the towel here. The tide has turned. And I'm gonna respect my time and the YouTube viewers' time here. GG's opponent. Okay, I've kept a slightly awkward opening hand. I think I'm just gonna lead on Mountain and pass. This means that I can't Swords to Plowshare as a turn 1 creature, but it also means that I'm not gonna get wastelanded off of playing a 2-drop. Immediately punished? Oh no, not immediately punished. Hello, Dwarven Miner. Welcome to the party. Please let me draw a land and live this dream. Please let me draw the land. I need it. I need it. This is a very telling pause. Just like, shit. Oh, Sorceress Spyglass. So, we still have a fight. It's okay. We also have Dwarven Blast Miner later. And that has a different name. Blightsteel Colossus also should be really good against my opponent's deck, too. Okay, I drew a land. I can just Dwarven Recruiter or the other land destruction machine. Who was on the play? Was I on the play or over there on the play? I was on the play. Okay. Is that better than just like starting to work towards Blightsteel though? Like I kind of still want to draw more lands. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna put Magda into play this turn. Springleaf Drum, that's interesting. Yeah, I could see that like over Ether Vial. They kind of compete in the same space. So if I play Axguard Cavalry this turn, it replaces its own treasure token next turn. And can maybe actually net me a treasure. So I think I'm going to go ahead and jam this here. Yeah, so like the thing is that like Wastelands and Rashadan ports are such good draws at this point that I'm not entirely sure that I want to stop those as potential draws. I just have a Blightsteel Colossus in 2 turns right now. Oh, Grim Monolith is like the card I wanted my opponent to have least. Alright. How bad? How bad is it? All is Dust is real bad. Okay, Thought Not Serious, fine. I don't really care about that too much. That'll take my Swords to Plowshares, I think. Yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that was convenient. Alright, do I draw a land? No, I draw Swords of Plowshares. So the rest of the turn probably plays itself then. I think I just attack with everything for Schadenport, Eldrazi Temple, and pray that I get another turn, that I can use that turn to just go and make a Blightsteel Colossus. I'm a little worried that my opponent might have Ugin. Radio Mars, I can Recruiter now, but I think I want to be able to have Swords to Plowshares available for my opponent's big critter, plus still be able to make Blightsteel. Oh man, are we just lucky and my opponent just had a bunch of artifact mana and not another big payoff? Oh no. May have spoken too soon. Shit. Okay. Well, that's obviously bad. Alright. I need 2 more treasure tokens. And then a Magda. It's going to be really hard to get treasure tokens. The alternative is that I eventually just, like, draw the Blightsteel Colossus and cast it or something. The league has been very fun. We're coming up a little short on the wins, but it's a good time and the games have been pretty interesting. Like, we literally needed one more point of damage for a win last round, for example. And, like, this time I needed one more attack stab to get a Blightsteel. Bill, thank you very much for following. Hope you're enjoying the content. There is also this, like, blast zone that's hanging out, too. And if my opponent plays well with that, and just kind of, like, preemptively sets that at 2, life's bad for me. I also don't know that I'm going to get to sideboard again. My treasures. I think double planeswalker is the point where we can just say, like, yeah, we're good. Yeah, this is just gonna be another round where I don't really get to sideboard. I need to take Mother of Runes out of the deck, so, like, we'll do something, but I don't know beyond that. Like, I'll play Path to Exile to get idiots out of the way. Like, 2 more damage a turn, or sorry, 2 more mana a turn is not all that scary for my opponent's deck. Their land's pretty civilian mana. So I don't think boarding this in is good. This isn't good. Like, I can bring in surgicals and surgical some of their lands after uh blast mining or minoring them. It's a little sus. It might just be better to have another dwarf that can fuel treasures. I think I'm gonna go with that. Okay. So I have recursive land destruction starting on turn 3. We could get Sorcerer Spyglass again, and that's fine if it happens. Damn it. Oh, man. Maybe I should have fetched on turn 1. Sorcerer Spyglass on Arid Mesa is rough. Didn't think about that. Yeah, I should have fetched on turn 1. I am 100% naming Arid Mesa if I am the opponent here. Oh, wow. Deal. That is the last card I would have named. Very happy about that. I mean, I'm sure they have their reasons, but like they're about to lose a city of traders when they play another land, and then I have like an active land destruction card. What do you think? Always yes to Ether Vial? See how high we can tick it up? I have no way to remove those, right? Yeah, I have no way to remove an artifact. Oh man. Opponent, opponent is probably not going to have a good time with this. Always yes. Oh man. If they would have needled that, holy shit. It would have been good. Yeah, your ratchet bomb is fine. I will let you get rid of my dwarven blast miner, and then I will just play my dwarven miner afterwards. Alright, so I guess actually I should turn off auto yields because their ratchet bomb is likely to blow up their sorceress spyglass. Oh, right. Derp. I so did not care about that chalice. I wasn't thinking about that. My bad. Anyway, so this allows me to put in the Dwarven Recruiter and just put like a bunch of cool stuff on top of my library that costs 3. Streamer misplayed. I would like a refund for my time. Thanks. We'll always no to this now and always yield to it. um, I think I play nothing this turn. And I think I don't attack. It just keeps them from playing a land drop on their turn if they want to ratchet bomb. Oh, they didn't even tick it up. That's weird. Yeah. That was a misplay. Okay. Now, of course, on principle. I think I just repeat the same pattern as last turn. Like, I can play the Dwarven Recruiter, but I'd rather Violet in after they blow their Ratchet Bomb. Yeah, Hackbert, the combo is you put 20 Dwarves on top of your library, and your opponent is like, 20 Dwarves, holy shit. And then they die. No, there's not an instant win combo like you can sometimes see in Vintage. I want to play Magda and Miner next turn. And then after that, I'd like to draw 3 drops that I can vial in. Let's get a Magda, a Blood Boiler, and then 2 Recruiters. Call that good. We'll go like Recruiter, Recruiter, Blood Boiler, Magda. Alright, Magda. Get in there. Miner. Get in there. Technically, I should have attacked before playing that in case my opponent has something weird like Dismember, but I didn't do that. And I'm not going to blow a treasure, I don't think, to just, like, get another creature in play. I think what I have already wins. And so I just don't want to overcommit to the board in case something weird happens. I don't know exactly what that something is, but I think blowing up lands and then finding a Blightsteel is the way that I'm winning this. That Thespian stage can copy Cascading Cataracts. Alright, my opponent's just done. That's fair. Um, I'll just wax him it. We have 6 cards that are just repeating wastelands every turn against our opponent. I feel like we're in we're in okay shape. Yeah, beating 2 indestructible lands though. That's gonna be a stretch. This hand is weird. So I have a wasteland for my opponent's first soul land, and I have a vial that lets me cheat on mana. I think this hand is good enough to keep, but I could see mulliganing this one. The Dwarven Recruiter finds me a recursive source of land destruction, though, which I think tips this towards keep. Alright, well, my hand got significantly worse with the Vial being off, but I still get to Wasteland a Soul Land. Oh, nice. Somewhat awkwardly, if my opponent were to Sorcerer Spyglass Arid Mesa, I don't have access to red mana. Alright, Grim Monolith is the big thing that I'm scared of in this turn cycle. I think if my opponent doesn't have Grim Monolith, I am a huge favorite. Now, my opponent can just go third Locus and do some disgusting things this turn. We'll see what happens. This is probably the fundamental turn of this game, and by extension, this match, where someone probably effectively wins the game in this next turn cycle. Okay. Opponent has 7 mana. They can't Ugin, but they can do a lot of other gross stuff. Like they can Karn minus, maybe get a Sorcerer Spyglass or something. Alright, a Liquid Metal Coating. They can use that like Rashadan Port in this turn cycle. Which is really good. Hmm. I can blow up one of my opponent's lands, and then they can blow up one of my lands, and then I can blow up one of their lands. And they still have this Karn. Hmm. Fine, man, I'm thinking the same thing. I'm trying to figure out if I can wait one turn to put the 2/2 into play to really decrease the amount of mana they have. This is a tough spot. Like, we trade lands while Karn ticks up, so the later I put the Axguard Cavalry into play, the more loyalty I have to get through with Karn. But I don't know that I can just give them 7 mana and let them do their thing. I'm going to try to decrease their number of lands, specifically the Cloud Posts, and see what I can do from there. I think my opponent is currently favored in our weird trade-off. But I'm hoping that, like, one of my plateaus gets blown up this turn, and then I can wasteland a Cloud Post and play an Axguard Cavalry, and I'm hoping I can pull ahead using that line. If my opponent plays another Locust this turn, things get weird. Hey, I can bounce their Golos. Nothing bad will happen if I do that, right? Right? I think this marks the point where my opponent has won. I'll fight back for a little while longer, because my life total is still high-ish. But I think I'm going to need Magda in order to get out of this, but I'm also going to be taken off of red mana this turn. Which means that I need to draw both Magda and red source. And I've already taken 3 red sources out of my deck. I don't like my odds. I also could just get liquid metal, or not liquid metal coating. 6 mana lock piece out of the game here. Totally blanking on the name. Mycosynth Lattice, there we go. We also could get Mycosynth Lattice out of the game. Yeah, I think this is the point where I'm comfortable conceding. I get Mycosynth Lattice locked next turn. GG, opponent. I didn't really expect to lose to this opponent. Like, I thought our recurring land destruction was going to be good. But we ended up, like, being just a tiny bit too slow. All right. I will be keeping this hand. This hand looks pretty reasonable as a whole. The big question is kind of like, what do I do with Arid Mesa? I don't think I want to show Cavern of Souls on turn 1. Oh, I teach high school Latin. So think my largest class currently is like 16 kids, and like basically they're in like every other seat right now. Gene Zadis, thank you very much for following. Hope you're enjoying the content. So, like, it's definitely weird. I feel comfortable about most things. I'm I'm good right now in terms of stamina. A lot of my coworkers who have been teaching in person longer, because like our ninth graders have been hybrid for a long time, and I teach 10th through 12th, so we just started hybrid. So I'm teaching in person 4 days a week, and then teaching remotely 1 day a week. All right, so we're probably playing against depths, so Swords to Plowshares is going to be really strong. I probably just need to play a dwarf this turn. Is that true? I think it is true that I need to do that. So right now, if I can sustain it, I am making specialized videos for my students who are still fully remote, because some of them elected not to come back to in-person learning, which I totally get and support. So for as long as I can support it, I'm going to make personalized video lessons for them. The general feeling I've gotten from other teachers is that trying to pipe your students into the classroom via like a Promethean board or something like that is a little bit of a shit show, and often results in poor lessons or poor audio quality or huge delays or something. So I'm going to try to avoid doing that for as long as I can. As of right now, it looks like it's going to be sustainable. There are other problems right now. Fuck! Like this not of this world that just killed me. Alright, fair. So, and I'm just going to talk about this because I have a long time to sideboard, and I probably am not going to sideboard too many cards. So right now, one of my big issues is there are a lot of students who have kind of gotten by this year, either doing the absolute minimum amount of work, or there are students who just haven't been working remotely, or there's students who have been turning in assignments and trying, but they don't really get it. So right now I have this huge gulf between like my good students and my students who haven't been working. And for some of those students who haven't been working, they're 5 or 6 months behind everyone else, and that's not an exaggeration. So my current struggle right now is to figure out like how do I teach everyone? You know, how do I get those other kids through the rest of the year while also like not dumbing down my standards too much and just boring the ever loving crap out of my more advanced students. So it's a weird issue, and one that I'm still grappling with quite a bit. I'm just gonna assume that like Recruiter of the Guard is too slow for this matchup. And then like a lot of things are like medium minus. Like Surgicals, Chalices, and Bloodfire Dwarfs, I think, are all medium minus. Like Bloodfire Dwarf can technically mess with Vampire Hexmage. Surgical Extraction can technically mess with pieces of the combo. Like I don't think Mom's particularly good. Maybe Mom's just like too bad here, and I should like do this. Yes. Yeah, normally I'm very rigid and systematic in my like policies, and normally I do like no late work, trying to like teach the importance of like doing things on time and meeting your deadlines and things like that. And this year, that's just like not something I can do. Like even my best kids regularly like miss an assignment or fall behind or have late work because like so much real life is happening right now. Yeah, Radio Mars. So I'm teaching high school kids, right? So like these kids will go to college, they'll go out into the job world, and they'll recover in a year or two. I have zero doubts about that. What if you're a younger kid though? Like, what if you're someone who is learning to read or something like that? Missing out on that instructional time is going to be absolutely devastating. So we'll recover, but this is going to be the sort of thing where we will feel the impact of this for years and years and years and years. My opponent says Needle is so much worse versus Rando deck. I'm just giving him a smiley face. We have gotten the FML from my opponent. Yeah, I was talking to one of my fellow teachers the other day, and they have two young children, and they were like, "Yeah, so I get home from teaching, and then I try to like go and do some things with my kids for a few hours, and then I go to bed. I wake up at midnight. I to get a couple hours of sleep, and then I do work for a couple hours, and then I go back to bed." Um, some very weird patterns going on right now. I have so many different ways to play this turn. Like I can just junk the Vampire Hex Mage here. This is D&T, Dwarves and Taxes. I kind of like just getting rid of this, playing out another critter, and calling it a turn. We have a very strange amount of interaction versus my opponent's deck. This year has done some great things for teachers, though. I think there are a lot of teachers out there who get stuck in a rut and they just keep doing the same thing that they've been doing for years without really thinking about their teaching philosophy and pedagogy and how to do self-improvement. And this year just like forced so much thinking about like how you teach and what you're doing in the classroom and that sort of stuff, that I think we're going to see a lot of growth from teachers and a lot of better education practices over the next few years as a result of this. All right. Make your move. No move. No crop rotation there. Vault Robber makes treasures, and if you can sacrifice 5 treasures with Magda, we get a Blightsteel or something. So just another on tribe card that happens to also make treasures is pretty good. Wall surgical, that's totally fine. Um, womp womp. So do we get the concession after the Thoughtseize? The record doesn't matter. Focus on the game at hand, you know? We're having fun here. Doing teacher. My opponent has said, well, that's a bucket full of rude. We're just poking my opponent for 1 damage a turn, and I'm good with it. We are up to 3 lands in the graveyard for my opponent. Those are rookie numbers. We need to pump up those numbers. All right, should have surgical Urborg. Do I swords that? If I don't swords that, I can't keep attacking. I don't think this game is about life totals. think I'm still fine with doing this. My opponent only has 2 cards, and it takes... And, like, one of them is Dark Depths, and it takes multiple cards in order to deal with what I've got going on right now. I mean, most Legacy players really just love the game. Like, we're out here playing decks that we love, or decks that people have bribed us to play, and we're just having a good time. I know my opponent has Ghost Quarter, so my Caracas is not an answer to Dark Depths for much longer. I think this line is really good. The only way this isn't just insane if my opponent's last card is not of this world. Actually, no, I still beat that. Just in a different way than what I intended. Okay, so my opponent can't have Spirit Guide plus crop rotation. And now I just go to the mines, and then I Surgical Dark Depths. Nice, nice. Yeah, so like a lot of Legacy players are a little bit older. And sometimes that comes with like some wisdom and perspective of age. I mean, sometimes you still have like the old man yells at cloud boomers who are playing Legacy. Like that's still something that exists. I'm not saying every Legacy player is great because that's very much not true. But I generally find Legacy players to be pretty pleasant. I don't know what I think about this hand. I have a feeling that this hand is not fast enough on the draw. And I want something that has like a Source of Plowshares, a Wasteland, or an Ether Vial to start things off. Like, I don't feel good about this. Hello. Keep. Raifu, I heard you were playing Electrolyze in Legacy, so like, how can you not be one of the good guys? I spent a long time thinking about what I want to do that turn. I think I'm just going to hold up Wasteland. Yeah, I am good with this. I need to find real red mana for Dwarven Blast Miner. That's my current problem. Zephra Danilo, thank you very much for following. Hope you're enjoying the content. What's the point of dwarf taxes? Dwarves! We're having fun and memeing a little bit. Like, we get to make Blightsteels and Akroma's memorials, and we get to destroy lands. It's a good time. Yeah, playing against ye old Stryfopile deck can be really frustrating if you're playing with like a bunch of small creatures and you're like, how the hell do all of his cards kill my things and cantrip? This is bullshit. I can totally understand that. Bad news, opponent. I just have a Caracas. I mean, we'll see if we get got by Not of This World again. Ah! No! No! We lost to Not of This World twice in this match. We have so much interaction. Ban the mighty Whizbit. GG's. This hand is a little mana heavy, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and keep it. And Andy found that real quick. Thank you very much for that. I vaguely remember dumpstering TES and sending Bryant a screenshot. Actually, I think I might have dumpstered TES twice. I don't know how to play this turn. Also, I'm really glad that you all can't hear what's happening outside. I think someone is using an impact hammer on the wall that's next to me. uh, okay. I apologize for misplays in advance. This is super distracting. I don't know if I'm supposed to attack with Mom here. Like, I don't know if my opponent is Death and Taxes or Delver or what. They've mulliganed to 5. I think I'm gonna press here. Like, I have so much land, and they didn't want to wasteland me. And I have a second Dwarven Blast Miner if they want to remove that. I think I'm okay with giving my opponent some options here. Why would you fucking wasteland there? There is literally not a single reason to wasteland there when you can just take a draw step and then make the same decision with more information. God, I hate end step wastelands that are bad like that. I hate them so much. Alright. See if we get stifled. Nope. Just get non-basics. All my stuff is working. The tilt player. The tilt factor. Yeah, that's probably the reason to do it. You're right. Baracas? The hell is this? Are we just on, like, Mardu tokens or something? What are we doing? Also, is my opponent gonna let me make treasure tokens? Oh shit, they're letting me make treasure tokens. Nice. Should not have gotten that. I think just this one. Yeah, Strifo, I'm with you. This is probably goblins, and they just have a very strange start. Alright. Goblins confirmed. Just play out another 2-1? Nah. I don't think so. I think at this point, I'm just going to accrue treasure tokens and make a Blightsteel. You want to protect the... Right. Yeah, I mean, I'll protect. All right, so next turn, I get my Blightsteel. I just attack with both of these creatures, and then I've got it. And if my opponent removes my Magda somehow, I can just Dwarven Recruiter for another. Yeah, this is what Magda does. Sacrifice 5 treasures to go grab an artifact. One, two, three, four, five, 6 cards in opponent's graveyard. Dwarf. Okay. All right. I'll just attack with both. My opponent wants to block, they can block, and I'm fine with that. Just quick check. Blightsteel's indestructible, right? Like 99% sure. Yep. Oh, congrats on being able to play Stoneblade. I've seen that a couple times in leagues. All right. I don't really want to play the Dwarven Recruiter. I'm going to play a Dwarven Blast Miner, though. Hello? I would like protection from red, please. Opponent opting to let me put the infect counters on them. I appreciate it. This impact driver, man. It's not good. All right, Bloodfire Dwarf and Path to Exile probably in. So I think there's like a railing outside, at about my ceiling level that separates like first floor from second floor. I think they're either working on like the second floor railing or floor right now for some reason. And oh, or maybe it's the stairs going up to the next floor. Yeah, it must be the stairs because it's like right here. It's rough. I don't really know what to board out. Like the Dwarven Blast Miners and Miners looked good that time, but I don't know that they're normally going to be good. I feel like Recruiter of the Guard is really slow in this matchup. I'm gonna board that out, I think. Yeah, and I could put on my headphones, but I spent so much time this week wearing headphones that I'm I'm good with not wearing headphones right now. I don't know. Is Recruiter slow? I don't really know how to board here. Biden, thank you very much for following. Hope you're enjoying the dwarves. Oh man, I don't know about this hand. Hand's good against a Goblin Lackey start, and bad against an Aether Vial start, or a start with just a decent mid-range game. I don't think this... So this hand has a game plan to not lose. I don't know that it has a game plan to win. I'm going to keep it. My opponent has mulliganed once, so maybe my mana denial elements of the Rashad Port and Wasteland can steal a win here. Like, this is a hand that I would probably be very happy to keep as Death and Taxes, where we have big draws like Stoneforge Mystic that can swing the game on their own off a vial. But this deck doesn't really have a singular card that spirals the game out of control in quite that same way versus Goblins. No vial. Nice. Would like to reset the board. And also doesn't have true red mana, which is an issue for like the Blast Miner type stuff. This is probably a game where I port almost every turn for the rest of the game. Nice. Oh, Crater Maker. I probably need to keep my vial. Yeah, I need to keep this vial. Each creature without flying, each creature without flying. I don't have true red for this. Oh, fine and Andy. I'm assuming that I'm not casting cards for quite some time. Oh yeah. 2 damage a turn beatdown plan is a go. I'll be leaving this vial at 2, because almost all of our good hits are at 2. Speaking of, just to talk about this before we actually reach the point where it happens, there's going to be some worlds where I end up path to exiling my own creature to fix for red mana. I don't think we're there now, but if I were to find like a blast miner and I could start blowing up my opponent's lands, I would 100% trade path to exile for a red source. Dwarf. Battle for 4. I get that somewhat frequently, actually. Someone said that in one of my YouTube comments earlier this week. So notably, if I draw a Magda, I can immediately Blightsteel. I can give the Magda haste so that she can tap herself. Alright, yeah, so in this turn cycle, I will probably path to exile myself. To get that true red source, and then I can blow up all my opponent's lands. Land from path to exile enters tapped. My opponent has ported my Rishadan out of spite. I respect it. Destroying the Rishadan out of further spite. I really respect it. Notably, my opponent can still draw something like a Pyroclasm, and that has a pretty huge impact on the game. So, like, it's not like this one is stone cold over. I am, like, unquestionably favored, but oh yeah, like this game we did our thing, right? Like we put the squeeze on the mana with Port and Wasteland and the recursive mana destruction engine. Like we did our thing. And I really hope our opponent is not just gonna sit there and like time themselves out for the next 5 minutes or something like that. Because it's kind of looking like that's what they were going to do here. Oh, nope. All right, there we go. I was gonna say it would be kind of weird for them to like play out this much of the game and then just like time out, salt off. Like that would be strange to me. Send them. No, we're gonna attack with everything to play around pyrokinesis. Actually, I only get 1 damage in if they have pyrokinesis. Elves hate dwarves, huh? I've heard that before somewhere. Can't think of where. Guess that'll be more or less a part of official MTG lore after this, huh? Gave the opponent the old question mark in chat, and then they finally did it. All right. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Let me get everything on screen here because I think talking about the whole thing is really important. Okay. So I feel like these cards right here, like the recursive land destruction cards and the Magdas, are really powerful. And then a lot of the rest of the deck just kind of isn't. So like Vault Robber and Axeguard Cavalry and the Blood Boiler are kind of weak cards individually, right? So While this effect is pretty strong, some of the supporting cast can't pull their own weight as individual cards. So, like, I don't know that enough good dwarves currently exist to build this deck well. So, like, we never activated a Vault Robber once over the course of this league. Like, the combination of, like, our stuff not dying plus Swords to Plowshares being really common meant that, like, this card wasn't pulling its weight. The Axe Guard Cavalry can be fine sometimes because it can give other creatures haste and, like, tap not in combat. But when you run into things like 6 of your creatures not being dwarves and some of your cards being either a little bit hard to cast or, like, this sometimes got in the way of, like, Magda activations sometimes. Like, I I feel like this deck within 2 years will probably get some cards that allow this to be not competitive, but viable. Like, as of right now, I don't think this is quite there. And even in some of the matchups that we expected to be really good, we oftentimes ended up just being, like, a tad bit too slow. And I think that's okay. I feel like the sideboard is too heavy combo focused. I didn't feel like I had a huge number of things to bring in versus Delver, and I didn't feel like I had things to bring in versus Control that would really help me grind as the game went long. Those would be 2 problems that I would be looking to address if I were going to go and play the game again. So we got our 1 win, and we were darn close to getting 2 or 3 other wins. Like, we fought hard this league, but I think we were, objectively speaking, the less powerful deck in most, or maybe all, of our rounds. Regardless, I hope you all enjoyed it. YouTube folks, if you made it this far, please throw me a like or a comment, or maybe subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Those sorts of things really matter to me and are helping my channel growth a lot. The YouTube metrics are looking great, and I'm really excited about Legacy right now. So thank you for everyone who is supporting me.